From Liverpool to Frisco we're roving, I went for to stay in that country, it was my intent. But girls and strong whiskey like other damn fools, I soon was transported back to Liverpool singing wrong.
The book is about the discovery of some human remains in a building site near Garston Docks in Liverpool, and two of the characters, Vinny and Anne, try to find out, investigate how the body got there. So that's the kind of plot outline. Okay, so it's set in Liverpool, in Speke and Garston, but also other parts of Liverpool as well. They get about a bit, and the story has two narratives. One which is near contemporary, 2004. That's where Anne and Vinny are kind of trying to uncover the identity of the remains. And then you have a second narrative which goes from the 1950s up to 2004. And that involves two Irish guys who come across from Wicklow. Well, one's from Tipperary, one's from Wicklow. They end up in Garston, and it's about, you followed them through the 1955, the 60s, the 70s, and up to modern day. And it's all this thing of who are the remains and how do the two stories connect. That is the kind of centre of the plot of the novel. Okay, my favourite character from the book, there are three central characters, Anne, Vinny and Michael. And they're all kind of, I think quite attractive characters in their own way. They're all a little bit different. Michael's a caretaker on a building site when we meet him, but we find out as we go through the story that he's done a number of different jobs. And him and actually Vinny's father, a guy called Paddy, were part of something called the Wicklow Boys, which is a kind of, gang crime unit in and around Garston, around the docks and so on. And they were both involved in that for a while. So you have Michael, who I think is a good character. He's a goodie, if you like. And then you have Vinny and Anne. Vinny's okay. He's a bit of a pain sometimes. He's clever. He's resourceful. But he's also a bit kind of on the depressive side. His dad left him. He felt abandoned by his father. He never really knew his father. He left before Vinny was old enough to kind of have any real interaction. And that's had a big impact on his life. And his father was Irish. And so Vinny's kind of in this situation. He's in Liverpool. He knows he's from Irish stock, but doesn't really understand anything about Ireland or its culture. And that prompts him to do a kind of research thing into why Irish people moved to Liverpool after the Second World War. So he's quite an interesting character, I think. And he goes through quite a lot of changes in the book. The last main character is Anne. She's really nice. She's a young reporter from Liverpool 8. Her father was from the Caribbean, from Barbados. And she's just really feisty. She wants to get on with things. She's got a lot of, again, she's really intelligent, she's smart, but she's also knows what she wants, and she's ambitious, and she goes out to get it. And without her, I don't think Vinny would achieve anything, to be honest. Anne's the one who kind of pulls it all together, her energy and dynamism. Okay, so they're the three main characters, but neither of them are actually my favourite. My favourite is actually a guy called Paddy. And this book is the first in a series of books. There are 4 books in the series. The first one is Under the Bridge. The second is called The Morning After, and the third is, well, provisional title so far is Fire Next Time, and the last one is The Wicklow Boys. The Wicklow Boys is set in Ireland, mainly in 1975, but with a narrative that goes back to the 1920s. So basically, throughout the 4 books, what you get is from Ireland in the 1920s to Liverpool in the 2020s. And so you get a span of 100 years. So, and the main character in the last book is actually my favourite character. But I'm not going to say who he is because that might give too much away. I was going to self-publish on Amazon, but I thought I've achieved my goal. I've written a book. I think it's great. And, you know, so I was going to self-publish. And then Northodox came along. And Northodox are the people who are publishing this book. They're a new publishing company based in the north of England, and their motivation, their aim is to give voice to northern writers. And actually, writer friend Terry, thank you Terry, recommended that I try Northodox. I sent my book off, they liked it, and so this is where we are. So I've been writing for a long time, but productively only the last couple of years. Well, like I say, this book being published in February the 18th, but you can pre-order it now if you go to northodox.co.uk. You can order the paperback and the ebooks and Kindle and so on. When it is published, the paperback will be available through Amazon, but at the moment the pre-order isn't. You have to go to the publisher's website for that. So what's next? Book 2 and Book 3 are finished, largely finished. I'm sure I will go back and go over them. And I'm in the middle of writing Book 4, and probably about 25% through Book 4. So that's going to take another, I don't know, 6 months or so at least to do. But Book 2 and 3 are finished, and I'm in discussion with the publishers and with my agent about when those books are published. I want them out as soon as possible. They're a bit more cautious, so we'll see what happens. But there are definitely more books coming. Last thing, I gave an outline of what the book is, the first book, Under the Bridge, is about. Anybody who knows Garston knows that Under the Bridge is the name for the area closest to the docks, just at the back of Garston village, if you like. Garston and Speke are both the kind of areas that I don't think people write books about, unless they set a murder in them, and then the murder is the only thing. This does have that, but it's much more about the people who live on those estates and the life and the struggles that they go through. One of the main themes of the book is identity. Not just the identity of the skeleton, but Vinnie's sense of identity. He's born in Liverpool, so he's raised in England. He knows that his father was Irish and he's a Scouser. So how does he identify? What does he identify with? The plot of the story also touches on the emigration from Ireland to Garston in particular. Everybody knows about the middle of the 1800s, the 1840s and 50s. After the famine, there's mass migration into Liverpool and the rest of the UK and to America and so on. There's less known about what happened after the Second World War, with tens of thousands, if not more, young Irish men and women crossed to the UK to rebuild the country basically after the war. There was a shortage of manpower during the war and just after, and that was largely filled by Irish labour, and a little bit later by some labour from the Caribbean. You have the whole Windrush generation who came over to work in the NHS and to do the kind of jobs that Irish people did as well. And so the book is about that and about the communities created by that kind of emigration. And it's written as part of those communities. It's not someone from the outside looking in, but it's an expression of what life is and was like for working people. And so it takes up union struggles, it takes up some kind of politics, it looks at police corruption. So it's a good story, it's a page turner, it's a good read, but it also is a part of the life, I think, of the city of Liverpool. And I think the publisher says this novel couldn't have been written anywhere else. And I agree with that, because it's not just a plot. It is an expression of life in Liverpool. Anyway, I hope you go out and buy it and look for the next ones as well.
I shipped on the Alaska, lying out in the bay, waiting for the fair wind to get underway. The sailors all drunk and their backs is all sore, their whiskey's all gone and they can't get no more, singing row, row bullies row, them Liverpool girls, they've got us in tow.